Today we're talking about trading the under 2.5 goals market on the Betfair exchange, and we'll be showing you the best strategy, the best way to pick the matches, and what to do when you're in the market and potentially when things go wrong. Then we're going to show you some real life trading demonstrations to back it all up. Go grab a nice cold beer or an espresso martini and let's get into it. So we're going to show you real life trading demonstrations of this strategy on the real markets. But for those who are new, this is the main idea behind the under 2.5 goals strategy. You're going to back under 2.5 goals at kickoff. As long as there's no goals, time decay is going to force that price lower and lower, and you will be collecting profits from basically a back to lay type of trade, as long as there's no goal. And typically these days we can use the XG momentum to give us an idea of when that pressure is rising, and we could exit before that goal is scored. The longer you stay in the market, the more profits you will collect. But of course, a goal against you will put you in a position where you're going to have to take a loss on the trade. And obviously it can be quite a nerve-wracking trade or strategy to use for a lot of people. You're in the markets, you're pretty much sitting there just hoping, crossing your fingers that there isn't a goal. You're hoping and crossing your fingers the markets do not go suspended, and your heart might jump into your mouth whenever it does go suspended. Well, yeah, it can be a little bit of a nerve-wracking strategy. However, hopefully by the time this video is done, you'll feel a little bit more relaxed about it, and you will understand a little bit more about what we're trying to do with the under 2.5 goals trading strategy. So let's get into it in more detail now. So the first thing to ask is what this strategy actually is, because a lot of people who cross over into trading, they started out on betting or maybe even match betting. You just hear the phrase back under 2.5. So you might think, well, let's go find matches which we expect to finish under 2.5 goals. So let's head over to the Spanish La Liga 2 or to some of those South American leagues. It doesn't quite work like that. We're not really looking for matches which are going to finish under 2.5 goals. We're actually looking for matches which are going to have a slow start. And ironically, some of the best matches for this strategy are the matches where we actually think it might finish over 2.5 goals. This is something that it's very hard for a lot of newbie traders to get their head around in the early stages. And I made that same mistake when I started to trade under 2.5 goals. I thought, well, this is simple. Let's find a match where neither team looks like scoring. But then you see the under 2.5 goals price is around 1.5 or 1.6. And there isn't really much value, and the markets aren't really going to move. So where does the edge come from? It actually comes from the higher odds. And actually some of the best trades for under 2.5 goals are going to come when the price on under 2.5 goals is above the 2.0 mark. It's above evens. That means over 2.5 goals is actually the favorite. And actually these matches are going to be the ones where over 2.5 goals is going to happen more often than not. So you're basically taking a contrarian approach and you're going against the market. That's where you find the edge. The best way to look at it is that the over and under 2.5 goals market is priced based on the final total goals in the match. It's not really priced on whether there's going to be a slow start or not. So that's what we're looking for. We're looking for higher odds where there's going to be potentially a slow start to the match, and then we're looking to take advantage of that time decay as the odds tick down. So match selection, what do we do from there? So we want to try and look for teams which tend to score most of their goals in the second half, or at least after the 30-minute mark. It's quite easy to look around on a lot of stats websites to look at the goal timings for a lot of teams. If you get two teams up against each other who typically tend to score most of their goals, especially in the second half, then it could be a qualifier for this particular strategy. The goal distribution skew matters a whole lot with this. And by the way, if you want to skip all this research, we use AI to help us find these trades. So if we did want to find some under 2.5 goals trades inside the Football Trading Genie, we would click on something like Snowball and we would just let the AI run it and do the hard work for us. And as we can see, for this particular day, it's found two matches which it feels are perfect for trading under 2.5 goals. Okay, so we've got those, and then we could just make sure that we trade them. And obviously it's not just for under 2.5 goals. There's a whole bunch of other strategies also that it will find trades for. And even if you don't want to follow the strategies, if you want to dig into a particular match, you can obviously look at matches individually also. So as said, this is if you want to just skip all the research and all the jumping around and trying to figure it out. You can let AI do the hard work, and we'll be showing you later in the video how we're going to use AI to trade these matches, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, once you have found a qualifier, it's time to get into the market. And we did speak earlier in this video a little bit about how when people trade under 2.5 goals, they kind of get in the market, cross your fingers, hope for the best, just hope there's no goals. Well, you could be a little bit more proactive. Now, when you're exiting the market, you could look to exit maybe 10 minutes, maybe the 15-minute mark, 25 minutes. You could exit at multiple stages as the price ticks down. And at the same time, if a goal goes in against you, we strongly advise just exiting and taking the loss, take it on the chin and move on. Now, one other thing you can do when you're in the market is to actually confirm that the time decay is happening as expected. There will be some matches that you get in, you're back under 2.5 goals, and that market ticks down very, very fast. The market is flowing. That's exactly what you want. You can lock in your profits. And usually this happens because the actual action on the pitch is also a slow start. And that is adding up with what you expected as you entered the market. Now, sometimes you might enter a match expecting a slow start. That slow start doesn't materialize, and actually it's end to end. You get one team hits the post, maybe some sort of great save from the goalkeeper. It's a high tempo, and very often you'll see the markets will stall a little bit. You won't get the time decay that you're looking for. This is a big, big warning sign to exit the market. Main reason is because at the end of the day, the thing you expected to happen is not happening. You expected a slow start, it's not a slow start. So just exit. And especially if this market is stalling, you're not really going to get the profits you're looking for. Sometimes in big tournaments like the World Cup, when there's a lot of liquidity in the market, you'll actually sometimes see the under 2.5 goals drift and go against you. So this is something to be aware of. And as said, it's not just sitting there crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You can be proactive. And if you look for this, then you can exit the market and save yourself from that potential early goal. You might regret it if you exit the market, there are no goals and the markets do tick down, and you might sit there and think, well, see, if I stayed in, I could have made the profit. But that's not the best way to look at it. You need to look at it from the perspective of you acted based on the information you had. It wasn't the ideal trade. You got out. You're going to look for a more ideal market, and there will be plenty more of those. So as said, that ties in with the exit and the discipline side of things. Kind of touched upon it before. It's not really worth trying to stay in with this strategy. We've definitely looked at a lot of options with regards to staying in, doubling down on backing under 2.5 goals. It never really works out very well in the long term. You might win the odd trade doubling down or something like that. But from what we've seen, that early goal very often opens up the match and it's just against you from that point. So you're better off locking in the loss. Now, just how much of a loss is it going to be? Well, typically, it's going to be around 40% of your stake, maybe 50% if that goal comes like in the first minute or something like that. But the longer you're in the market, the lower that potential loss is going to be. So a lot of people do get into this sort of trade, then they're nervous if a goal goes in against you. But if you're nervous, you're probably over staking, and it's the amount of money that's in the market that is making you nervous, not necessarily the goal. Those who do trade with under 2.5 goals regularly, early goal goes in. It's a little bit annoying, but just exit the market and move on. You're not committing your whole bank to this trade, surely. But anyway, just leading on to the final point here is also the professional leverage side of things. You can obviously lock in these profits and then use these profits later on in the match to attack the second half. You could redeploy these profits into the overs markets, potentially into correct score or lay the draw. And we're actually going to show you an example of that right at the end of this video. So obviously stay tuned for that. But anyway, let's get into some real life trading demonstrations where we're going to show you exactly how this strategy works, what to look for, and obviously things to do when you're in the market. So let's dive into that right now. Before we do it, it would be great if you could hit the like button. If you do like videos like this and you want to see more of them, just hit the like button. YouTube will send you more. It's as simple as that. Let's dive into it right now. Some real life trading demonstrations backing under 2.5 goals. So Brighton versus Crystal Palace here. We're going to trade the under 2.5 goals market. 1.97. I just backed it there, as you can see. And this is a good price. If you're going to go against the under 2.5 goals, obviously you don't want it too short. This is just about probably on the borderline for what we would want to look for. Just to show you the match odds market, we've got Brighton above evens. So very often, do you want a really, really strong favourite that's going to come flying out of the traps, or do you want to anticipate that slow start? With this one, Brighton versus Crystal Palace, it's not quite a derby, but there is a rivalry between these teams, so it could also be a bit of a tentative start. Anyway, let's quickly just have a look at the football trading genie. The AI has also had a look at this and suggesting we could get a cold period all the way up to 30 minutes, the first 30 minutes of this one. So obviously we'll play it by ear. It's just about to kick off, as you can see the odds are fluctuating. But yeah, we'll play it by ear and we will see if we can come out of this one with a profit. Brighton versus Crystal Palace. We're trading under 2.5 goals. So we just crossed the 15-minute mark, actually on 17 minutes. So anyway, we're going to lay off some of this just to get the overall exposure down on this one. As you know, the longer we're in the market, the more chance there is of there being a goal. But this is what we're looking for with regards to time decay. This is moving pretty nicely in our favour. I was looking at the stats also, so hold on, let me click on in play. So yeah, this is ticking down very, very nicely. No real concerns. I was just looking at the stats. There hasn't been a shot on target yet. So based on this, we'll try and hang in until the 30th minute, or in case something else happens. So let's stick with it. Brighton 0, Crystal Palace 0. So we're just crossing now into the 30th minute of the match, and I can also see Brighton's XG is starting to tick up a bit. So we haven't had any shots on target, but Brighton's XG is definitely starting to climb up. So we're going to remove all the risk from the market, and then at that point, I mean, you could cash it out. You could decide how much profit you want to have on both outcomes. I always like to have a little bit more, a little bit more. Oh, whoops, not that much more. A little bit more on the overs outcome than the unders, and obviously you can adjust that however which way you want, right? So anyway, let's just get that locked in. And there you have it. So you can see how this one played out. Let's bring up the chart. We could see it was a cold zone. It also fit the profile of the type of match, which was likely to be a slow start, despite a pretty good price on the over and under 2.5 goals market. So that's what you're looking for, is you're just looking for the markets where they haven't quite priced in a slow start. We could still end up over 2.5 goals in this match, but we've obviously anticipated there would be a slow start, and we've managed to get in and out with our profits. And if you just look interestingly here, it looks like the price is stalling a little bit. So the time decay is stalling a little bit around this point, 1.4, which is another sign to, well, get out the market, and obviously a sign that things are probably heating up a little bit. But anyway, we got in and out with we got out with a profit. Brighton 0, Crystal Palace 0 on 31 minutes. So we're going to trade this match with Real Betis against Feyenoord. Real Betis strong favourites here, but we're going to get AI to give us the entry into the market on this one. So we just click on best strategy, and let's see what the AI says. So it's coming at us with saying both teams tend to score later on. Betis predominantly after 30 minutes. Similar for Feyenoord. So we're going to be getting involved backing under 3.5 goals. So this is interesting. And we will be exiting after 15 minutes on this one. So typically you might see under 2.5 goals. We're going under 3.5 goals. Let's get set up. And now this makes sense. Okay, so we got set up backing under 3.5 goals. Now you very rarely see under 3.5 goals above evens to kick off. So the genie's definitely seen something in this. So anyway, we're involved. Okay, it's just a simple get in and then get out after 15 minutes. Obviously, if there's a goal, we will have to exit and take a hit and take it on the chin. Keep in mind that the 200 we have in the market, that's not at risk. We will be exiting if there is a goal. Anyway, let's see what happens. Betis against Feyenoord, just about to kick off. So I'm going to take an early exit out of this one. We're not quite at the 15th minute. However, I'm going to take an early exit, and the faster I can exit, the better, really. Let's just get this locked in and then exit out the market. Not have to do this manually. All right, so I will show you why we're taking an early exit, and it's very important to be aware of this when you're trading the unders, is that, I mean, there was a goal disallowed, but it was a fair disallowed goal, but that has caused the market to stall on its time decay. If we just switch to the in play, the market has barely moved in over 10 minutes. So this is not suitable for our unders trading, so you just get out early. Okay, that's not to say there won't be it won't be a goalless first half. It could well be, but if the market is not moving how we want it, it's an unnecessary risk. We exit out early. Okay, so anyway, we're out early on this one. That's pretty much a scratch trade. You move on to the next trade. Protect your stake, protect your bank. So hopefully the clips that you've seen so far are showing you that this strategy is actually not as scary as some people think. Remember, you're just entering the market and you're pretty much doing nothing apart from just monitoring that time decay. And as you've seen in some of these examples, and you're going to see more of them, you can also exit and remove some of your risk depending on the time of the match, or depending on how the time decay is going. So you do have a lot of options. Now, as I've kind of touched upon, if you're entering the market with this sort of strategy and you're sitting there like a nervous wreck, then you've probably got too much money in the market. Just lower your stakes. Trust me, lower your stakes and then try this strategy, and it will probably work out much, much better for you. But anyway, as you've seen, we're using the AI and we're using Football Trading Genie to help us with picking these matches out. Obviously, there's a lot to take into account if you want to trade under 2.5 goals, if you want to trade the over side of things. So it's great to have the AI do all the hard work for you. So if you want to give it a go for yourself, you want to get a demo of it, click the link in the description of this video, or just scan the QR code that is on the screen. And we're going to leave that QR code on the screen for the rest of the video so you can check it out in your own time. Let's dive into some more real life examples of trading under 2.5 goals. We're going to trade this match. It's Lille against Freiburg from the Europa League. Anyway, we're going to use AI to give us an angle into this match. Remember, Europa League counts as a cup match. So going, just studying the regular form of Lille in their league, Freiburg in their league, it's not so simple. And this is probably the type of match you want to use AI to help you to work out, to be honest. So anyway, from the data, I can already see from the data the AI is looking at low probability of immediate goals in the match, which means there could be a bit of an edge getting involved on the under 2.5 goals market. 10 minutes, lay 50% off, then 20 minutes will lay the rest off. So let's have a look at the market and see if we want to take that trade. So we got involved backing under 2.5 goals here at 1.91. So I will take the trade. Obviously, unders is favoured anyway, so we might not see as fast a moving market in the early stages. But at the same time, if we do get a goal against us, it's not as much of a hit to our stake. So anyway, we're going to see how this one plays out. Lille against Freiburg, just about to kick off. So I was a little bit slow getting set up, but we are past the 10th minute, so we're going to lay off 50% of this. This market is moving very, very nicely, and I'll show you why. Look, we backed it at 1.91. It's already moved around 40 ticks in our favour within that first period, and that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see that the time decay is happening. Okay, so we can see the time decay is happening. The odds are ticking down fast. That's part of what we want to see. And then it is a case of we've lowered our risk. Now we're going to try and race our profits a little bit more. So the exit point was suggested to be 20 minutes on this one. So we'll check back on 20 and let's see what happens at that point. So we're here at 22 minutes and time to lay it all off and get it locked in. So we're going to remove all the risk from this, lay it off here at a price of 1.41 in the end. And we're just going to green it out, okay? Green it out, get it locked in over both outcomes. Keep in mind, remember, you can still keep an eye on the XG, keep an eye on the action of the match, and you could use this as leverage later on in the match, and for when you're expecting the goals to arrive. But anyway, for now, it's all locked in. It's Lille 0, Freiburg 0, £31 locked in after 23 minutes. We're going to be trading this match, Go Ahead Eagles against Braga. We're going to use AI to help us trade it. Let's head over to the football trading genie, load up the same match, and we're just going to let AI work this one out for us because I don't know anything about these teams. And we will see what the AI suggests as the opening strategy into this match. And if we like the look of it also, we can follow along, or we could even tweak it, okay? So let's take a look. It's suggesting under 2.5 goals market. That's the market we should be looking at. It will be backing under 2.5 goals. We're going to lay off at 10 minutes and then 20 minutes also. So let's take a look at that market to see if we want to get involved. Okay, so I got set up backing under 2.5 goals. The price was 2.3, so that's a very good price. As said, when you're trading under 2.5 goals, you typically want to go against the market. The over 2.5 is the favourite. What we're looking for is just a quick market correction in the early stages. The goals can come later on. That's absolutely fine as long as we get out with our profit in the meantime. So anyway, could be that the AI has found ourselves a pretty good opportunity here or not. Let's see. It's going to kick off very soon. So we just hit the 10th minute on this one. We're going to lay off 50%. You can see that 1.86 is just about to be taken, and so is the 1.85. Okay, low liquidity on those. So we'll actually just put in an order at those prices and just see if that gets taken. I mean, it's sitting there. Should get taken very, very shortly. And then obviously we'll be back. There you go. It's taken right away. So we'll be back on the 20th minute to lay off the rest. But you've lowered your risk already on this one. So the worst can't really happen. But let's see what happens from here. So here we are, bang on the 20th minute. And as you can see, we can lay under 2.5 goals there, 1.56. But we could just go right in the middle and just put in an order at 1.55. Let's just get that done and get that in there. And it's starting to be taken now, as you can see. So anyway, we will. Oh, it's all done. It's all taken. And so anyway, we could just equalize this out, and let me go down even lower. And obviously, much of this just depends on how you feel with regards to the match. I always say, yeah, cash it out, but always leave maybe a little bit more on the overs. And we've kind of done that there. So 38.94 on the unders, 39, 6 pence more if it goes over 2.5. Okay, but of course you can leverage this up later on if the XG starts looking good. There's obviously lots of stuff you can do. But anyway, let's just get this fully cashed out just so you've got the full idea of everything and you can see the final result of this. And skipping forward, finally done. So we got that locked in, £38 locked in, 38% return on our stake. Do keep in mind that's not really 38% return on our risk, because if you're going to exit after that goal, your risk is actually much lower. So obviously it can be a bit of a nervous strategy, but when you get slow starts like this, it's good to take advantage of. Anyway, we're out on this one at £38. Go Ahead Eagles 0, Braga 0 on 23 minutes. We're going to be trading this one from Scotland, Falkirk against Dundee. Falkirk are the favourite heading into this. But we're going to use the AI and we're going to use the football trading genie to give us the opening strategy into this one. And we'll take a look at it and we'll see if it's something that we want to follow or not. So interesting. The XG on this one, 2.3. And we are looking at, with first goals typically arriving around 25 minutes. Yep, we'll be backing under 2.5 goals for the intro to this match. Lay off at 50% and then take the profits on the 20th minute. So let's take a look at the price and then we'll decide if we want to get involved and get set up. So the price here was 1.88 to back the under 2.5 goals. So that's just about a good price for this sort of trade. So we'll be doing it, and yeah, as said, it's 10 minutes we're going to lay off 50%, and then 20 minutes we'll lay off a bit more, or sorry, lock in the profits. But obviously in the meantime, remember, we're looking for that time decay. We're looking for any sort of warning to potentially get out of the market also. So anyway, let's see what happens. Falkirk against Dundee, just about to kick off. So we've just gone past the 10th minute. So yes, it is time to lay off 50% of this. Let's get that in, and just to confirm where we are with this trade. Yeah, so remember we backed around 1.88, so the first layoff has been at 1.57, and these odds are ticking down. That's a nice move for the first 10 minutes or so. So we're obviously picked a right match. The time decay is happening, no real stalling, as you can see. That's the key thing to look at. And it is a low liquidity market also. That's something to keep in mind. Sometimes low liquidity markets, well, I mean, they can work for you, or they can be your very worst enemy when you're trading some sort of time decay. But anyway, good start so far. As said, we've laid off 50%. We've gone past the 10 minutes. Let's see where we are at the 20-minute mark. Falkirk 0, Dundee 0. So we just passed the 20-minute mark, actually on 22 minutes. So it is time to lay off the rest of the risk in this one. And yep, just obviously the instruction was to take the profits, but yeah, you can also leave the profits on the under 2.5 goals if you do wish, also as a free bet. So that's just another of your options when you're trading the under 2.5 goals market. So let me show you. I mean, as said, it was a borderline price, but obviously the AI saw that this is potentially going to be a low scorer. A low scoring start, or a no scoring start, and here we are. So very quick tick down, looking very good. Low liquidity market also, not ideal, but anyway, it's all locked in. We could lock in a profit on both outcomes, or we could just let it run on the under 2.5 goals, depending on what the statistics are telling us. Anyway, we're out on this one. Falkirk 0, Dundee 0. So it's half time here. It's Falkirk 0, Dundee 0. And yeah, it was from looking at the XG, it was a bit of a slow first half, but it started to pick up late in the first half. Now look, we've got £74 of a free bet on the over and under 2.5 goals market. Now if we look at the data on this, we've got a goal overdue, not really clear to who, but with this in mind, we can easily enter on the goal market below. We've got £74 of green, free bet on under 2.5 goals. We can lay under 1.5 goals. And let me just do that, knowing that if it remains under 2.5 goals, we will obviously collect the £74, and that will cover the red that is on the 1.5 goals market. That's if it remains 0-0. But we're obviously going to look to get that goal, look for this market to spike, the price to spike, and potentially lock in a profit on this market. So we're leveraging the over and under 2.5 goals green onto the under 1.5 goals market. If we can get a goal, we can lock in some green, and then we can just trade from there. If we don't get the goals, we're not going to lose anything, because we're just going to land the profit on the under 2.5 goals market. So let's see what happens from here. It is Falkirk 0, Dundee 0 at half-time. 56 minutes on the clock. No surprise, we've got that goal. So it's Falkirk 1, Dundee 0. So we're on the, we've got green on the over and under 1.5 goals market. This is exactly what I was talking about. We laid that 1.7. And after the goal, that will have spiked up. Or will it? Yeah, well, there it is on the chart, as you can see. So yeah, we can just collect some profits now on this market. Let's just get that locked in. All right, that's all locked in. And now we could just be done and just lock in the profit that we have on the 2.5 goals market also. I mean, there is other stuff you could do. We could let this run, try and race it a little bit more. Try and, you know, give ourselves a free bet on the 1.5 or something like that. But anyway, we're just going to keep it simple. Just a quick example, really, of, yeah, we used the time decay early part of the match, predicted to be a slow burner. It was. We had the green. We could see the XG by half time. We're expecting a goal, so we got involved on the 1.5 goals market. We've got the profit on that market, and we got profit on the 2.5 goals market, and that could just be it. Okay, we're not going to trade the whole match here today, but just an example of all the stuff you can do when you're trading the goal markets, and especially if you're starting out trading under 2.5 goals, that the profit you make can be leveraged later in the match. Anyway, we're done with this clip. It's Falkirk 1, Dundee 0. We're out with a profit which is going to be 42 plus the 52, so about £94 of profit. All done. Falkirk 1, Dundee 0. And as you can see, with this type of strategy, you are trading time. You're not trying to predict the final score. This strategy is all about exploiting the early time decay. You're not saying this match is going to finish under 2.5 goals. You're just saying there's going to be a slow start. And if there is a slow start, you're going to capitalize on it. This is the type of mindset shift that separates the traders from the gamblers. As said, match selection is the edge with this. You're looking for those matches that have a slow start profile. You're looking for second half weighted teams. If the distribution is wrong, the trade is wrong. The edge is found before the kickoff. This isn't something you can wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes and then decide to jump in the market, because then it's too late and the opportunity is gone. So you need to enter at kickoff and then obviously watch how the market develops. And it is the discipline that protects the bankroll with this sort of strategy. Yes, there will be matches where there's a goal early on, there's nothing you could do about it. If that happens, immediate exit, protect your bankroll. You shouldn't lose more than 40% of your stake, typically 50% in worst case scenarios. There will be matches where the warning signs are there before a goal, so just exit those matches and don't try and hang in there for the profit. You need to heed those warning signs, and just keep in mind a single trade means nothing. If you're going to practice with this strategy, you need to try 100 trades as a minimum. There are many people I've known and heard of who are like, well, let me trade the under 2.5 goals market. The first match they try, they get an early goal and they're like, well, never doing that again, and that's it. One trade means nothing. You need to trade at least 100. And trust me, by the time you've traded 100 matches on under 2.5 goals, you'll feel a lot more relaxed about it, because you'll realize that these early goals aren't as scary as they might initially seem, and they're not as frequent as they might initially seem. So anyway, as you've seen, we're using the AI and the Football Trading Genie to help us with these match selections. It can pick out a lot of trades for the under 2.5 goals. If it looks at a match, it thinks there's going to be a slow start, it will suggest it for you and you can follow that. It's not just for under 2.5 goals, it's for any market, any match, even correct score trading, as you might have seen. Anyway, if you want to give it a go, have the AI do all the hard work, all the research for you, crunch all the numbers, then scan the QR code or click the link that's in the description of this video, and yep, you can give it a go yourself. This is your very own AI-powered football trading assistant. It's a great bit of kit and absolutely priceless as a time saver. Okay, let the AI do all the grunt work for you. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, there should be another video on the screen right now, which is very ideal for you to check out. I strongly suggest you click on that video, and I'll see you in the next video.